Hi, my name is Mati Gelman, and in this tutorial I'm going to take you through the post-processing in Photoshop for this image. So this is a composited image, which means it's constructed by different frames or different photos. And when you get into Photoshop, the first thing that you do is select your main image. The main image that I selected is the subject on the rock, and around it I want to place all of the other subjects. This has all been shot together, so I went out and I shot the whole series of photos together in the same location under the same light with the same subjects. Actually one subject that we're going to duplicate, and then it's really easy to cut and paste from each photo the elements that we want to put together because they belong to the same environment and we won't have to adjust them. So after I positioned these two frames on either side, the next step would be picking the rest of them out and positioning them accordingly to what you choose. The good thing about this specific photo is that there is a contrast between your subjects and the background. So you can cut them out easier. And the next method that I use to cut them out is color range, because there is enough contrast between the subjects and the background. And the next step is, basically the next few steps will show you how to do that. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm going to increase the contrast between the subject and the background, which is just adding a curve adjustment layer. And then going into select, color range, selecting the character or the background. I chose the subject. Option click the layer mask, and with a brush you set it to overlay. What it does is that it's selectively going to only increase the whites and not the blacks. So it's kind of like a dodging and burning method. To delete the background, I just select around the subject and I press Command J. That's just the way I do it. Option click and drag on the mask and then delete the adjustment layer. And you have a selection of your subject. Now you can move it around the background and see where it fits. What I wanted to do is to move it into the horizon, so that means that it needs to become smaller. While the layer is selected, selecting Command T and moving it would enable you to do that. So the next stage is adding the sky. And the sky is basically element compositing and not frame compositing, because I took it from a stock photo. And the problematic thing with a stock photo is that it's not shot by the same lens, not under the same lighting conditions. The white balance is different. Basically, everything is different. So the tools to adjust it are going to be slightly different. The first step would be dragging the photo in and put it on soft light or overlay so you can see how it matches. I drag down through freeze transform just the dark side of it to match the water, adding clipping masks to the pixel layer of the sky. So that's very important because that's the only layer that I want to change. Underneath it, I added a curves adjustment layer to make it dark, to make everything below darker so that it would blend nicer. And then with the clipping masks, I'm affecting the saturation and the colors to try to match it to what I envisioned. There are no rules here. It only goes through what you want to do with this photo. There are a few things you can do to blend this photo better, the sky, with the rest of your image. One is with the saturation and hue saturation adjustment layer, because the colors are off and they're a little bit too saturated. So I added that with a clipping mask only on the pixel layer so that I affect only that. Underneath the pixel layer, I added a curves adjustment to try to blend it better. So I made everything below it a little bit darker with the curve. Adding the moon and the cloud on top of it are two more elements that I did not shoot myself. So in order to adjust them, you have to play around with levels, with curves, and with the saturation. You don't need anything else. The way I blended the cloud in was using a brush that Photoshop provides, which is a cloud brush, and through the mask, blending it in with the mask with a low flow and 100% opacity.